Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I haven't been holding a camera for a very long time, but I realized that this past month of August I have been reading a ton, and I didn't even realize how much I was reading until I counted all the books that I read this month, and I was like, I need to do a reading wrap up. So like I said, I have read a ton this month, and I wanted to share the books I've read with you, give you some recommendations, and talk books because I like books a lot. I don't know if you do or not, but I'll find the right group of people. And the majority of books I read, like 100% of the books I read, are all romance books. If you're not into that, this probably isn't the place for you. So this stack of books is the books that I read this month. I read 5 books this month, and I'm going to show them all to you and tell you my thoughts. The first book I read in August was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I loved this book and I gave it 3 stars. 5 stars is incredible, loved it, like I'll never forget this book, it changed my life. 4 stars is really good, I enjoyed it so much, loved the characters, would recommend. 3 stars is it was good, would recommend it, I enjoyed it. And then 2 is didn't really like it, wouldn't recommend, it was okay, not my cup of tea. And then 1 is like absolutely not, never again, don't read that book. I mean, read whatever you want to read, but like, I don't give books 1 stars very often. It's just like a rom-com in a book. It's about this girl, her name is Liz, and her childhood crush moves back into town. And her only in with him is becoming friends with her, basically, this guy that she does not like at all. And she's like asks him to help her get her childhood crush pretty much. She ends up falling in love with the guy that she hated in the beginning. It's just a really cute book, very lighthearted. But I did cry. I gave this 3 stars. The next book is a 5-star book, and this book changed my life. Like, I love this book so much. It is called Red, White, and Royal Blue. I'm sure you've seen it or heard of it or read it. I feel like I'm a little late to this book, honestly. But I read it because the movie was coming out and my friend was like, you need to read it so we can watch the movie. And it's a 400-page book, and I read it in 4 days. I loved it. It is about the 2 boys. One of them is the first son of the United States named Alec, and then the other one is Prince Henry, and he is the Prince of England. They cause an issue worldwide, and they just need to kind of fix it for their like publicity and their family's publicity. They're set up and they need to look like they are best friends. They are like caught by paparazzi, post stuff together. So at first they're like faking this friendship, and then it kind of becomes like they're actually like enjoying each other's company, and then they end up falling in love. And it's a really cool dynamic. I've never read a book with the dynamic of these 2 characters, and it's hilarious but also very sad. The next book is a Colleen Hoover book, and I know a lot of people do not like Colleen Hoover. I love her books. There was a couple issues with her, and like she tried to turn It Ends With Us into a coloring book, which if you know anything about It Ends With Us, it is a survivor of an abusive partner. So turning that into a coloring book just is so inappropriate. Her books I enjoy, and if you enjoy a certain book, don't let people make you feel bad for it, okay? This book is called Hopeless. I think it's actually a series, so I might need to look into that. But I didn't feel like this left off on a cliffhanger or anything. I gave this 5 stars. I loved this book. Such a page turner. So many things happen in this book, I can't even like explain to you everything that happened, but basically it's about this girl, and she's homeschooled, she's pretty sheltered, she doesn't have any internet, she doesn't have a phone, her mom doesn't believe in that, and she's adopted, and she's kind of fine with it. Like, she's pretty content with her life. She meets this guy named Dean Holder, but he goes by Holder, so we call him Holder, okay? She kind of hates him at first, but she figures out everything about him isn't true. They end up falling in love, and then she sees a picture of him when he was younger, and there's a house behind him, and she's like, why do I know everything about that house? Why do I know exactly what it looks like? This is weird. She kind of figures out her past and all of the things that she's been through that her memory has kind of been wiped of. It is so good, and I cried so many times reading this book. I love it. Love it. The next book, I don't know if I didn't enjoy it as much because I had just read Hopeless and it was so good. This book, if you had been with me, it has a lot of hype around it. I just didn't get the hype. I didn't understand why people love this book so much. I didn't hate it. I gave it 3 stars. I was gonna give it 2 stars, but the ending got me. It was good. I would recommend it, especially if you're just starting to get into like reading. This is a good one. This book is about a girl named Autumn. Her mom is best friends with Finn's mom, and her and Finn were born at the same time, same age. They're childhood best friends, but they kind of drift apart when they go to like middle school. They're both in different groups and stuff, and so then they kind of become friends again. They're both in different relationships though, and then they fall in love. That's pretty much what it is. The end. Like literally. Like I was bored all of this until this very last sliver of the book. This much of the book was really, really intense and like jaw-dropping. I feel like it was worth it to get to the end. I don't know. 3 stars though. The last book that I read in August, I actually finished it last night. It is August 30th. This one was one of the craziest books I've ever read. It's another Colleen Hoover book. It's called Too Late, and I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars because it has so many trigger warnings in it, but I know that the newer copies do have the trigger warnings in the beginning. That was something that people didn't like about this book, was that nobody said anything about the trigger warnings, but they are in the beginning of this book. But this was the biggest page turner I think I've ever read. People call it a thriller. I wouldn't say it's a thriller. It's more just like a psychological thriller, but not even, I don't know, kind of just like hard to stomach in some parts. It's about this girl named Sloane, and she's kind of forced to live with her abusive boyfriend in order to get care for her brother. Her boyfriend, Asa, is also the biggest drug dealer in the town. She meets this guy named Carter, and he's an undercover detective, but she doesn't know that. She thinks that he's another drug dealer coming to kind of like just like be friends with Asa. She kind of falls in love with him. They're very, very secret about it because Asa is insane. Then Sloane finds out that Carter is undercover. It's kind of the story of just like their life and trying to take down Asa, but there's a lot of trigger warnings, so please like make sure you look into that before you read this book. These are all the books I read this month, and I enjoyed all of them except for If He Had Been With Me. I just got a little bored. In the end was really the only exciting part, and it was like 4 pages. I don't know if I will be able to continue this content, or at least reading wrap-ups for the month, because I don't know if I will be reading 5 books every month. But if I do read a lot of books in the month, I will update you guys. But they probably won't be a regular thing unless I keep this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more content like this and just me doing me things. Reading is one of my favorite hobbies. A little bit more than over a year ago, I was in a bookstore because my sister wanted to go in, and I literally took a picture of a book that like was titled like I hate reading. It wasn't a joke. I literally hated reading, and that was like a little bit over a year ago. A lot can change. If you think that you hate reading, just find the genre for you. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you when I see you. No.
You busted in there?
She did bust in here.
What are you doing?